This is a brand new car. This is the same model, but it's 2 years old. Can you guess how much more this car is worth? Pause the video here if you want to make a guess. When I first started driving, my dad gave me a rule. He said if you buy a new car, you have to drive it like a grandma or a grandpa would drive, so that way it stays in perfect condition. And I thought, what does that even mean? And I ended up ruining his brand new Honda. You know what happens when you drive a new car off the lot? It loses a significant portion of its value. On average, a new car will lose 11% of its value in the first year and another 17% in the second year. So in total, after 2 years, the car will be worth about 68% of what you paid for it. And in 5 years, that number drops down to 43%. Depreciation happens because there are 2 main factors at play. The first one is people don't really care about buying used cars. When most people think about buying a car, they want a shiny, new, never driven before type of vehicle. They don't want a used car with a history. But there's nothing wrong with used cars. In fact, the person who buys your car after you might even use it more than you did, which means that it could potentially be worth more money than when you bought it. The second factor that causes depreciation is risk. A new car comes with little to no risk. You know exactly who the previous owner was. It was probably just sitting on a lot somewhere. And for older cars, the more time it sits on the lot, the more likely it is that something goes wrong with it, especially if it's in an area that sees a lot of rain. For example, Florida sees a ton of rain, and people who live in Florida know that their cars will rust faster than someone who lives in California. So now you understand why nobody wants to buy a used car, especially a 2-year-old car where the previous owner has already depreciated the car significantly, but still put some miles on it. Only exception to this rule is if the car has been in an accident. That's something that always scares people away from buying it. Now let's get back to the question I asked at the beginning of the video. How much more is this car worth compared to this one? Well, based on these numbers, this car, it's the one with 28,000 miles on it, is worth $27,000. While this car, and I know that seems crazy, but think about it this way. If I were to sell my 4Runner for what I bought it for, I would have to sell it for $48,000. And if I were to drive it off the lot, it would lose a ton of value. I would have to sell it for around $44,000. Depreciation doesn't just happen with cars. It happens with pretty much everything we buy. And over time, things become less and less valuable. The only thing that truly holds its value over time is real estate. So when you look at your 401,000 statement and see that you have X amount of dollars in your retirement account, think to yourself, hey, maybe I'll buy a house in 40 years with that money. Because chances are my 401,000 will be worth a lot more than that by then, thanks to inflation. Every time you buy something, ask yourself if you really need it. Because every time you buy something that you don't really need, someone else had to make that item and put it in a store, which takes up resources and energy. My goal with these videos is not to shame anyone for spending money on certain things. My goal is to help everyone around the world become financially free. And that doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow process. And like I said in the beginning, it starts with small changes. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. I appreciate all of you who have been supporting the channel. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.